I love my mom to bits. She loves me so much. But if my mom tells me, oh, why do you want to make 1 million? I really want to make 1 million. She's never made £1 million. Why would I go out and meet my mom to tell me how to make £1 million? So the thing is, on this journey, a lot of people go to the wrong person for the right advice.
Wow.
And that was what changed for me. So I stopped talking to the people who told me I can't. And I started listening to people who told me I can.
Wow.
Because I know I can, because he that is in me is greater than he that dwells in the world. Because the Bible tells me that.
Wow.
So I started finding people who would tell me, Daniel, oh yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. And I started focusing on the word, you can. And I just started rising through the hurdles. And then I'll go through pain and they'll tell me, yes, it's normal. Oh, Dan, I'm broke at the moment, I'm trying to do this day. Oh yeah, it's normal. So I started seeing all those things as normal.
Welcome to another episode of the Need to Succeed podcast. And what we do here is we have great conversations with phenomenal entrepreneurs and really about what makes them successful. Because look, oftentimes the same situation that makes someone decide that they can no longer invest in the future is often the same situation that makes someone decide they absolutely have to succeed. What is the difference between the two mindsets? That is what we look to unpack on the Need to Succeed podcast. And today we have got an incredible guest. This is someone who is a doctor. He is a serial entrepreneur, a property investor, and has built multiple businesses. Everyone please join me in welcoming the main man himself, Mr. Daniel Moses.
Thank you so much.
Apologies, Dr. Daniel Moses.
Thank you so much, my brother, for having me on your podcast. It's such an absolute pleasure to be here. I love what you do. And trust me, I could not wait for this day to just come so that we get to rub minds, we get to inspire, we get to motivate people. And above all, we share a story of the ordinary to the extraordinary. And so we want to really share what that is so that other people who are looking and aspiring can obviously believe and become. So I'm looking forward to the chat with you, my brother.
Honestly, incredible. And I'm so honored, for you to actually, because, when I reached out to you and said exactly what we're trying to do, what the podcast does, you did not hesitate. I just got to say thank you very much for that. Straight away you said, no problem at all, more than happy to do it, let's make it happen.
Yep.
And that was really humbling for me. So, I really appreciate your time today.
My pleasure, bro.
Brilliant. So as you can see, I come ready for this in the green, white, green today, yeah? Awesome. Now, Dr. Daniel, we have a tradition on the podcast. And the very first question is, what does success actually mean to you?
Success is, number one, is having a family, all right, that makes you happy. So it's all good and well that people want to be successful financially, but if the innermost part where the whole thing begins, the inside of you where it begins is not happy and excited, then that journey of making that transition to actually building financial success is almost impossible. So for me, success is a happy wife, happy children, lots of money, freedom, and the opportunity that comes with every other things, along this is just what makes sense. So for me, when I wanted to go hard, really, really hard to finding success for myself, I have to rethink of the years, for example, where I had issues in my marriage with my wife. We had 3 divorce attempts, where she was tired, I was tired. We both wanted to call it a quit, but we had to revise and rewind. I've been married to my wife for the last 16 years. And I think if I'm right, in 2017, I proposed to my wife when I began this journey. I married my wife, first of all, in 2006 was the first time I married her. 2006 was the first time we got married. We got married within 6 months of being in our relationship.
Wow.
And, so you can imagine, so getting married within within 6 months of being in a relationship, that means we learned about each other whilst we were already married.
Very quick, yeah.
Very quickly. So she had to learn to tolerate me for 12 years, and it was quite shaky. We went through every single challenges that there was. So in this particular case, for me, success was looking forward, but going backward to walk your way forward. So it has to begin from, she had to be able to understand where we're going, so that when we do go through those roller coaster, she's able to obviously stand firm beside me. So for me, success is like, you have to look at all the missing components as you go on this journey to fix it. So it might not be married. So for those of you in a relationship, so if you're in a relationship, you have a girlfriend or you have a boyfriend, whatever the case might be, it begins with them. They have to be on the same page, because you don't want to go on this journey to chasing financial success, carrying all the baggages in relationship, even in your health. Financial success comes with a lot of work. So you also have to be physically, successful. So your health, so I had to adapt a new style of my, of my being. So I wake up 6 a.m. in the morning to go for a run, burn at least minimum of go at least for a minimum of 5K run every single day. And they're just basic things that I had to put in place. And trust me, for me, that is success. So success is fixing all those back ends so that when you then go outside, you're let loose like a bird in the sky.
Wow, what an incredible response, right? And that's really what I love about this podcast. We ask that question to everyone, and I guess the common factor, because of the quality of the people who are sat on that chair, is always about understanding, that success means different things to different people. You brought relationship into it, which I love. I will also come to the fact that you brought money into it, which I also love as well, because sometimes people do try to shy away from that, but we all understand that, to really live the quality of life that we lead, that might not be the, what's waking you up every single day, but ultimately to live that successful life, there is a monetary element that comes in that as well, right? But I love the fact that you highlighted relationship, because if you're in a relationship and you've got certain goals and certain things that you want to achieve, and you guys are not on the same page, like, there is a cost to success, right? There are going to be times where you need to do certain things that are going to push you. It means staying up later. It means not coming back, later. It means, maybe you've got plans and you can't actually attend those plans.
Yeah.
If you guys are not on the same page, that's going to cause friction.
Absolutely.
But if there's a clear understanding of this is what we're trying to achieve, here's what it's actually going to take, I'm going to make some compromises here also, because I understand I still have to feed my relationship.
Yep.
But once you guys can find that compromise, it really then helps you to go ahead and, really push your chest out and achieve what you need to achieve, right?
Absolutely. And that's what this is all about, right? I tell people success is all based on, it's not just based on money. All right. Money is like the last part of it. Money is the last part. But all these other things I've just mentioned, your wife, your health, your relationship, and all of that. Then the money, all right. Once all this is fixed, when you go out chasing the money, it's absolutely automatic. All right. There is no argument about it. It just comes. And there's something I've always loved I hear all this all the time by other great, amazing authors across the globe. It says, where your energy goes, all right, your attention flows. So imagine you're trying to do a deal, all right? In the middle of a deal, your wife is not happy about something, the message keep coming, calls keep coming, because some relationships are like that, where there are complaints of this and this and that. And you're trying to focus to get that deal down the line. Your attention changes now. And when that changes, it ruins the whole thing. It's only a really strong man. It takes a really strong man to basically, ignore all those noises around and just say, you know what, I'm going to close the deal anyway. So the reason why you have a lot of people chase success for so long, and they never got to where they needed to be, is because of all these back ends. It's like being a CEO. You can't be in a CEO. You can be a CEO of an organization, but if your back end is weak, if it's weak, it's weak.
Everything's a foundation, right?
Absolutely. You cannot delegate to a wrong team.
Brilliant. That's such a great point. But what I'd like to do, we've kind of spoken about where you are right now. We're going to definitely sort of dig a lot deeper into that, because what I also like to do is, look, success is success, right? And there is, as I mentioned, there's a path to success. But what we'd like to do here is to really unpack that, because what message we're trying to get across with this podcast is, how does someone, what's that journey? Where did you start? This is where you are now. What was that journey in between? Because that's the difference between the person who's given up and the person who's actually going to succeed, is what they've done in between that line, right? So let's just, take it back a little bit and just get to know you a little bit more. So just tell me a bit more about yourself. Like, where did you actually come from?
Wow.
All of that stuff, your journey to, to the UK and stuff like that.
Wow, it's amazing that I get excited of that question, but I also try to be the bravest man when I go through that journey, and depending on, on my mindset of the day and when I go through my journey as a person. The reason why I say this is because it is filled of a massive roller coaster, valleys, rugged roads and so on and so forth. So for me, my journey basically is to keep it short and simple, basically. Whilst in the university, all right, during my final year, I don't often share this, but I think I'll share this here as well. I did start sharing it lately, a few other podcasts I've done. Whilst in the university, in University of Benin, Edo State, during the final part of my graduation part, so about 2002-ish, I was quite, a bubbly guy in school. The girls liked me because I had a good car in school, and because there's something called the cargo man, so I can sell anything. I can sell you this water for a living. I can sell you my phone for a living and all of that. So I was kind of making some really good money and stuff like that. But whilst I started doing that, what started to happen to me whilst I was doing all of that, I started attracting people who could oppress me, who could try to bully me. And what that done was I became a member of a group of individuals, probably they call it like a frat, like a court, or whatever the case may be. I became a member.
They call it a cult, right? Which are quite prevalent in universities in
Nigeria.
So
you have the red colors, you have the white colors, you have the black colors. So I became a member of that. So, and whilst I became a member of that, so now I thought I was being protected because, now I wanted to have fun. I wanted to have a good time. So when I have trouble, I know that I've got a group of individuals that's behind me. Does that make sense? So nobody can really come and beat me up or take my car keys, because these are things that were very common, in the uni. You're driving a good car. Somebody can come to you come to you in front of your car and give you a big slap in your face and take your car key, or you can be walking with your girlfriend and somebody can say, leave that girl alone now, because they have a bigger crowd. So I became a member of this, organization in university. And to be honest, at that point in time, I loved it. It was fun. It was great. But towards the end of 2003 into 2004, it's almost like my life became a danger. So I needed to escape. So I use the word escape all the time. So I needed to escape from that. I needed not just to escape from that. Also, the Nigerian economy, the future wasn't guaranteed if you finish school, what you're going to get. So for me, there was a lot of volatility around me. So number one, I could end up losing my life because I had a good car in university, So I sold my car, sold everything that I had, and I basically went back home. I was like, Mom, I think I need to get out of this country, because if I don't get out of this country, I may either die or they're going to kill me or something. So, and that was how I started looking for how to get out of the country. Funny enough, tried America, tried the UK, try all.
Did you finish university, or did you left in between? Okay,
I did.
So this was after university.
Yeah, I left in between. I went back in between.
Okay.
So anyway, cut long story short, I had to leave because there was a massive war in town. So I had to leave. So when I left, because not the massive war, not for me, but there was just the two colors fighting each other all the time. So for me, I wanted to live long. Peaceful life. Anyway, cut long story short, I left. So got my visa, came to the UK, when I got here, there was no brother, there was no sister, there was no auntie, although there's a few family members interconnected. The thing about a Nigerian is, if you know somebody who's interconnected, instantly they become your auntie, they become your uncle, they become your brother, especially when you come to a foreign country or a foreign city where there's no one. So somebody can say, okay, he's from Edo State and that's from Edo State. Instantly, because you speak the same dialect, you become relatives. So another example is, for example, in Nigeria, we speak over 300 tongues. I'm sure you're aware of that. We speak over 300 tongues, we're from different clans, different ethnicity, and you name it. So, and that was my inception. So when I came here, I instantly plugged into the Benin City community, whereby, I met people who kind of housed me. I slept on the floor. One of my very close friend at that time who I lived with, Osas, his name is Osas. So he had a room in Backing Road in Canning Town, and I remember staying with him. And staying with him, he had a room, quite a single room. I didn't even know this was HMOs at that time. And he gave me the floor to sleep. And remember in that house, for example, we had about, if I was right, about 8 of us staying in that house, and me and him staying in this room and stuff like that. And we survived through. And at some point, I couldn't do it anymore. I'm like, what can I do now? I can't work. The only kind of job I could do was go to the next club that was ahead of me, the house opposite us, Club of Freak. And I used to go and help them clean toilet. They'd give me £5-10, and I'll, use that to buy McDonald's, just like that.
What year was this?
This was like 2004.
Oh.
2004 into 2004 into 2000, early part of 2005. So I'm like, oh man, I thought when I come to England, there's a tree planted in the middle of the street where you can get the money from, because the mentality of coming to this country was the moment you come in, your life is going to be better. Things are just going to work automatically. It's like almost like you get a job and everybody fix you up. That was how I came in. So cut long story short, it wasn't the situation. I went back to Africa. I'm like, I'm going to go back. Then I came back again.
So when did you move back to Nigeria?
So I spent about 6 months. I spent about just under 6 months, and then went back, and then now I've been away for a while. Got back into the country, Nigeria. I'm like, oh man, I remember the risk again. So the risk is, if anytime these two colors always have fights, it's gonna hit me again. Although I'm no longer in uni, but it could hit me. But I was just like confused. When you're in that peak of your life. This is me being around probably my early 20s. And I was like, I gotta go. Then I came back. Luckily for me, on my second arrival to the UK, around about October-ish, I met my wife.
So this is still in
2015 now. So 2005.
So you went back to Nigeria just for a couple of months?
Yeah, I went back to Nigeria and I was like, I've got to come back to this country. I've got to leave here. Came back, and God, as we have it, I was in a bus one day, just roaming the streets of England. And I met my wife in the bus. Met my wife, and we started talking. And in Africa, when you see a girl you like her, you go on to her. You don't care where you meet. You don't have to know her through someone. You see a pretty girl on the road, you talk to her. And that was my story right there. Met her, spoke to her, numbers not collected. Couple of weeks later, bumped into her again. In a different place, I know this cannot be. I cannot meet you twice in a very short period. You've got to give me your number. By hook, by crook, I need your number. If you don't give me your number, I'm not leaving today. Showed my decent attitude, and, she bought into me, gave me a number. To be honest, meeting my wife gave me a reason. Gave me a reason to want to live in this country. Instantly, I found peace, I found strength. But again, not just find the peace and strength, it comes with relationship challenges, and
were you working at this point, or were you still looking?
The only thing I could do is to sell things. So buy clothes, from Braimah, ship it over to Nigeria, sell them, buy cars, break into spare parts. So buy cars, 406 and all these different kind of cars, break them into pieces, load them up in a van, ship them into Nigeria, travel very quickly, and I'll do that as well. This was going into 2006.
So even at that point, you were already an entrepreneur?
I've always been an entrepreneur all my life.
Yeah.
All my life, I've always been entrepreneurial, and I always wanted to make it. I always wanted to be successful, but I didn't know how. Why
did you not just go and get a job when you came back?
Well, I didn't have legal papers. I didn't have legal immigration status. I didn't have residential permit. In this country, to get a job, you need to have legal status. You need a visa. You need a resident permit. I didn't have any of these things. So I could be in a friend's car and the immigration pulls us over, ask you name or date of birth, you're deported straight away. That was the risk I was at that time. By virtue of my relationship with my wife, got married, then I became legal. And again, that came with his own challenges because most people say, oh, you got married to your wife because because of passport. Even close relatives, everybody was against it. Her family was against it. My family, apart from my mom, who kind of understood. My elder brother, you're too young to get married. What? It was just chaos everywhere. My wife was again not Nigerian; she's Uganda born. Okay, so cultural differences. My mom always wanted me to marry, a Nigerian Edo woman, and not just that as well. It just, because most of my family, my brothers, some of my relatives, just different challenges here and there. So my mom genuinely, because I'm the last child of my mother, she genuinely wanted me to marry actually the woman she appointed. That, okay, this is my friend's daughter, was good for you, because these are quite common things in Africa. So that's my little story there. So met my wife, settled down, got married very, very quickly, about 6 months later. In 2006, May the 20th, we got married.
Wow.
It was beautiful, it was awesome. And trust me, 16 years on, myself and my wife, we are, building something that we call the Moses dynasty, because we believe we got what it takes for us to do it. Has it been smooth? No. Has it been roller coaster? Absolutely yes. 3 times divorce attempt, in the very first 12 or rather 14 years of our marriage. But today, myself and my wife were the best friends. Without my wife, I am nobody. Wow. Without my children, I am literally a dead man walking. So these people in my life is who I live my life for. And every single day when I went through the challenges of life, when I went through the ups and downs, they give me the fuel. It's like running an empty tank and all of a sudden you get money to buy petrol. So they are my fuel. So I went through that challenges, and eventually in 2006, we decided to get married. We got married, started having kids. About 2 years later, our first child came in 2008. 2008 came with its own challenges. Now you're about to marry, but the good thing was, my wife already had a house that she lived in. She had a flat. I was already doing a little bit of business here and there, selling things here and there. So we had money. We brought the money together. We then bought the house that we live in. So myself and my wife, we bought the house. We moved into a bigger house. Now we were ready for a family. Whilst that was ongoing, I kept buying cars. I kept shipping clothes. Before all of this, there are a few I've missed. But again, if I was going to all my story, all my days, we're going to be here till tomorrow. At some point, I did Peke. I just remember I should say that. There was a job I used to do Peke. Whilst all this was going, Peke is, you go into toilets, if you've ever been in a nightclub, you see the man who sprays perfume, give you lollipop sweets, you give him a pound. I did that. Security job. I was once a security guard at some point. When I was a security guard, I did it for about 3 months. And to be honest, I've never ever shared this. When you come into this country, all right, you find people who are already above, in different organizations that can actually give you slots of job, kind of on the back end. And that back end, allowed me to work security job Sunday market. I don't know if you know Sunday market, the security guard on the Sunday market. So I did that as well for about 3 months, but it wasn't for me. Work wasn't for me. So I did that. I didn't have papers, but they kind of cash in hand, So these are all the battles you go for as an immigrant in this country. People, I think sometimes the journey of being an immigrant is not shared even well enough. Whereby you come into a country, there's no papers to work legally. So I did everything that anybody can ever done, can be ever be done. I did all that. So
how did you feel at that moment? Because from listening to what you've just said, actually you came from Nigeria from middle class, right? Because your university, you had a car, so it was kind of middle class life, right? And then
we're middle class-ish, not to where,
lower middle class.
Lower middle class,
cool.
Lower middle class.
But then you move, to the UK, and then all of a sudden you're sleeping on your friend's floor. You're trying to get work, and you're doing all this sort of menial jobs that really you were probably set up for something more from where you come from. Like, how were you feeling in those moments?
The fact was, I just knew God was with me. And I knew that I've got something in me that the world will know one day. I knew that this guy here has something that the race, African race, there's something in me, and only recently I started to know that actually, yes, there's really something in me. I said to someone recently, I said, in the West, in 12 years ago, nobody danced to Afrobeat.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody watched Nigerian movies abroad.
Mm-hmm.
Western people didn't know about it.
100%.
Whether Asian, whether Caucasian, they didn't know about it.
Mm-hmm.
But today, Caucasians, they dance to Afrobeat. So I said, soon, when it comes to success and wealth coaching, speaking, soon, the world will rise up to someone like myself, to someone like yourself, listening to how we made it and take notes and go and implement our strategies. And that was something that was burning inside of me. I did not know all of this.
Where does that come from?
I think it comes from the discovery of self. Discovery of self is one of the things that will take you from nothing to something. I'm very money hungry. I'm very money driven. But when you have money driven personality, if you have no discovery of self, the hunger for money start to rule you. So, but when you have the discovery of self, you create something called opportunity. You create something called building, developing. Because when you create opportunities, you add value, the money start to give way to you. So the discovery of self has shown me that in life, there is no such thing as you can become rich today or tomorrow. It's a journey. I'm someone that over the years, I've looked at a few of the mentors, especially the one I'm with now. And he said this all the time. He's 60 plus years old now. He's one of the biggest in the whole globe. He says, 35 years, nobody knew who he was. Nobody knew him. He wasn't even making the kind of money he's making today.
That's who your mentor is.
And today, his net worth is over $8 billion in real estate portfolios. But 35 good years, how many of us today can actually take pain, stress, pressure for 35 years? Because what we're being sold is the instant gratification mentality, the microwave mentality of, no, you can see this, you can do this, and tomorrow you're going to be successful.
Yeah.
The truth is, it's impossible.
Would you say, this is what I believe, just obviously get your opinion, would you say that you can almost be delusional about it? Delusional. Because, I believe very strongly in having a vision and manifestation. And you had that thing within you, but it wasn't something that was written, it's just something that you knew. But when you know, or what I believe is you can also tell yourself, you can create that vision, and you know that vision is going to come to fruition, then you're never going to stop.
Absolutely.
When you come through those difficult times, you're going to do whatever it takes to make it happen anyway, right?
Trust me. See, and this is the word I'm guided by with what you just said. Habakkuk 2 in the Bible. All right? Habakkuk 2 in the Holy Bible. It says, write the vision down, plain on tablets, so that an Herod may run with it. And he went on to further say, I will wait in my rampart to see what he will say to me. Okay? So, we all are given a vision by whether you're Christian, you're Muslim, you're Hindi. We have that utmost belief of the supernatural that exists in our world. 2 days, every single day of your life, you're guided by two voices, a voice of peace and a voice of destruction. The choices you make comes from, the choices you make on which one to listen is all on you. If you choose to be good, you're good. If you choose to be a bad person, you're a bad person. If you choose to be deceptive, it's you. If you choose to be somebody who adds more value to people, it's all up to you. But the experiences that you go through in this journey helps you to get clarity into where you're going to. So for me, from the get-go, I knew where I was going to. I knew that I am going to be successful. But first, I didn't know how.
It doesn't matter how, does it?
It doesn't matter how. Because every time I hit a brick wall, I still hit brick walls today. But the only difference now, because of the level of personal development I've had over the last 6 years of my life, I just find a way of navigating them. And that's what success is, success helps you do. So when you are looking to become successful, you're looking to create wealth, you're looking to be the best or the greatest version of yourself, it's all about navigation. It's not rocket science. On the motorway, you can choose to speed or you can choose to drive slow. But whether you're speeding, whether you're driving slow, as long as you're a good driver, you will get to your destination. But if you're a bad driver, the tendency of you going to crash is there in your face. So it's your choice to choose who you want to become. As life take you through that journey, it's all on you. Nobody's going to come and rescue you. It is the value of the person that you become. It is the opportunity that you bring in front of you. It is the people that you're surrounded by that helps you. So for me, as I navigated through my journey of my story, of the challenges and the hurdles that I've been through, even relocating back to Nigeria at some point because I got fed up of England. And I went and I started a business in oil and gas, which eventually, led me to a massive loss of all the small money I'd gathered or made.
At which stage of this? It seems like we were like, whoa, what happened there? At which stage? So, hang on, because where we ended was, 2006, you got married.
Yeah.
Right, and then 2008, you bought your first home with your partner. So that's obviously, I would imagine, really good feeling.
Yeah.
Right. How did we get to Nigeria?
Okay. Well, I like that. I like how you're taking it back as one step. So how did we get to Nigeria? So I went through a series of challenges, like I said to you, Beke, exportation, you name it. Then done all of that, which lets me now into my journey in 2012. So, like I said, I got fed up. I just got fed up. Like,
is that because
the
things
success
are not progressing as quickly?
The
as
success
you would
I was
like?
looking for, the things I'm looking to happen in my life, the entrepreneurship in England wasn't, because before 2012, before 2015, I never heard about the word. I went to school, by the way, right? I graduated, by the way, but I never really understood the true meaning of value and opportunities and creating opportunities and adding, investing in yourself, personal development. So in 2012, I had to leave everything else and just say, you know what, I'm going to go to Nigeria. I told the wife, I'm going to go back home. And I think this entrepreneurship will work better in Africa, not in the UK.
Wow.
And that's what happened. So 2008, 2009, and through all the way to 2012, I said, you know what, I'm just fed up. I'm frustrated. Business is not going the way it should go. I'm not meeting the right people I need to meet. I'm going to just go back to Africa. And yeah, that's what led me to relocating back to Nigeria. Wow. Just alone, without the wife. At this time already.
Just about to ask that
yeah,
question,
just alone, without the wife, without the kids, and I went back. And
how was that feeling of obviously leaving your family back here?
This is the truth, right? Initially, Nigeria did kind of welcome me back. My country did welcome me back because I started my business almost very quickly. I started to make money. I was in oil and gas logistics, where I had a few trucks taking products from the refineries, okay, to the end user, which is the petrol station, to sell. I had worked with a few individuals who helped me raise money.
So we've actually got refineries in Nigeria?
Yeah, Nigeria's got refineries. I wish I had a refinery. Honestly, I wish I had a refinery. So there are refineries in Nigeria. So I would take the product from the refineries, the depots to send to the end user, to the petrol station where it's being sold to the end user. And it was going well. It was really going well. I would then travel back to England to spend a month with my wife and kids and go back again for 3 months. I was doing that from 2012 to 13 to 14 to 15. Then now things are working. I'm having good people around me. Guess what then happened? I had a major accident. 2 of my trucks loaded with petrol products. All right? 65,000 tanker on the road bumped into each other in Lokoja, Nigeria, in the northern part of Nigeria, straight into the ditch. So it was more like it was almost like there was a demonic attack. There was a spiritual attack. And it was like the worst thing. I'm talking about it now. It's so
I'd imagine that was a tough experience.
So I remember my driver calls me. It's like, Ogadan, Ogadan. Our I remember Paul. I remember Paul calling me and said, Ogadan, Ogadan, your trailer has just it don't follow that it spoke a Nigerian dialect. Oh God, the trailer don't fall. I said, what trailer? Our trailer. How? Oh God, they don't explode though. I almost just died. I said, what? I mean, I was in England. I said, I almost just died. Everyone okay? I said, but everyone is okay, but there's explosion. I'm sorry I had to do this, bro. I'm just
No, that's cool, man. Take your time. I can imagine because that's your whole business in an instant. Like, do you remember how you kind of process that information? Just kind of hearing it, I would imagine it's difficult to really picture what's actually happened in that moment.
in that moment, I'm just trying to hold myself together. I don't know why I'm doing this today. It's just, no way. I'm a strong man, you know. And I remember when that happened, I'm just like, oh my days, what do I do? I was on a mute. I was just on a mute. And I was just on a mute. I was just there. I was like, what? All my life, Nigeria, the fighting, the courts, what is it? What is it? Who's after me? The mentality was, someone must be after me. There must be a force just after me. That was my mindset.
Yeah.
It was just like, there's something that's definitely after my life. You know, and it seems to be like, I get it a little bit together, you know, I get frustrated. What's after me? And I remember calling my mom. My mom was the first person I could call. I was like, Mom, look at what just happened. My mom is 87 now anyway, God bless her. My mom is my best friend and I don't bother her these days anyway. But I called her and said, Mom, this is what just happened. My mom is like, at that time, this was 2015. I was like, Mom, this is what just happened. And I'm in England. I'm like, Mom, this is what just happened. And she said, she was crying. I was crying and hope nobody died. Nobody died. Did any? I said, okay. And then I went through that. I just said to myself, you know what? That's it. Entrepreneurship journey, that's it. I was like, I ain't doing this anymore. I've been fighting all my life. I've sold things. I've cargoed things. You know, what is it? And I just told my wife, I said, I'm not going back to Nigeria. I'm just going to figure it out. So I went through a series of 2016. I went through anxiety. And it wasn't the loss of the money that broke me into depression because I became depressed. It wasn't the money. It was the fact that I've done this all my life. I've tried all my life and it's not working. That was the fight. And I felt something was after me. I felt like the devil was after me. You know, if you're from African homes, I'm sure, you know, you have aunties and uncles who knows you. And then some of them go to church. Some of them are pagans. Some of them serve idols. Some of them are Muslims. So this one will call me, oh, Dan, we want to pray for you from an imam. This is what they said. Mom will call me, pastor said this. The native doctor said that. And bro, that was my life in 2016. I told my wife, I said, I'm not doing this anymore. And my wife said, what next? I said, I'm just going to go and get something, get a job, just be normal.
Wow.
You know, I've got you. I've got the kids. And I remember getting a job with Yodel.
Did you feel at that point just trying to go back into your mindset? Obviously, you'd gone through this difficulty of entrepreneurship. Did you feel like you'd failed? Because I know there's this word failure that people bang on.
I felt that I failed. Like I said, I just didn't feel that I failed. I felt like something was after me. That is beyond failure. I felt there was something after my life. Not because it gets to a point in your life when you feel it's not about the money, it's not about the success, it's not about the business, it's not about wealth. It's just something after you. And that was how I felt. I felt like something was after me. And that was just that journey. 2016, got into picking up myself, like a delivery, then Amazon, taking drops. And after I started doing for the first 2 weeks, I just kind of got on with it. So I remember I'll pick up my kids, from school, they'll be in the car, we're delivering parcels together, we're having fun. So I'm like, okay, Abraham, deliver number 25, I'll deliver number 22.
Did you pay them for this, or was this free child labor?
Say again?
Was this child labor?
So he was good enough, so we just had fun. Oh, come on, I child labor for my own child in England. So we had fun. So we just started having that fun. And I remember, but I was really struggling financially, really struggling financially. My wife would, my wife had a job. She was working, with Marks and Spencer. She worked with Marks and Spencer for 25 years. And I'll pick up my daughter. Angel was a bit younger. And I'll do all the deliveries well enough to drop them off. And then I met one of my friends in a wedding in Kelvin. And he said, "Oh, Dan, what's going on?" I said, "Bro, it's tough, It's like, I drive with Uber. You might want to try that out." And then I got my license with TFL. And then I started working with TFL. From TFL, while I was working as an Uber driver, I bought a few other cars that I also rent out to Uber drivers as well. The entrepreneurship came back a little bit.
Slowly.
But whilst all this was ongoing, I was going through a series of issues. I was placed on the highest antidepressant dose, and in fact, I can't sleep most times. I do long drive, but I can't really sleep properly. But I was like a machine. I was okay, but as long as I can feed my wife and my kids. And that's the series of what I went through. Towards the end of 2016, it's like God was, God showed back in my life. God was listening to me. And I remember I was so tired. One of these days, I was coming back as an Uber driver from Stansted Airport. Pulled over. I fell asleep on the motorway. And I decided to pull over to the next service station to sleep. And that was the beginning of who I am today. I took a nap. In that nap, it was all about property I can remember. It was like God showing me what to do, how to do it. And I woke up, took out my phone. I was about to get my next Uber ride to take me from there to the city. And the only thing I can remember was something prompted me to look at Facebook. And I looked at Facebook. There was an ad right there on my face, £70 for the ticket. How to get started in property with little or no money. Guess what? It was the last money I even had in my credit card, a Vanquish credit card. I can never forget. My limit was about £150, but I had less than £80 or so left on the card. So now I'm left with an option to use that £70 to fuel my car for the week, or go to the event and then find the money, because Uber pays us on the Friday. That's when the money comes in. I'm talking about on a Wednesday here, so I had only £80 left or so in my account. So I was left with two choices: pay for the event or pay for your petrol. Which one is it going to be? I can't afford to work a day or two because I need money. And I just said, you know what, I'm going to do it. So I just paid. I went to the event in central London.
What made you, what possessed you to make that decision?
It was unreal. It was just absolutely unreal. I just came up from a dream, a nap, talking about property. It can only be one thing that it was meant to be.
Because this came before the ad, right? So you weren't looking into property before this night.
I wasn't looking into that I would do property as a property investor. Does that make sense? And I woke up from that nap, and I'm looking at my Facebook, and it's like, oh, get signing property. I'm like, I just dreamed about this. But I was left with two choices. Pay the £70 and go for the event in London. It was actually a networking event. Pay £70 and go. Or buy petrol tomorrow and fuel my car. And then the event was on a Friday as well. Either go, buy petrol, which one is it going to be? So the choices were, okay, I'll do whatever it takes, I'll find a way around. So funny enough, I paid the £70, event secured, and as long as we have it, spoke to one of my very close friend at that time, Ben, the following day, and he managed to give me money to buy petrol on the Thursday. So now I'm like, great. And one thing I learned from that was, when you're in the verge of your breakthrough, you will have 100 excuses as to the reason why you shouldn't do it. If I did not go to that event that day, I would not be who I am today. That's one. Two, when I got into that room, I was the only black man. There was no one like me, the same color, no one. And that was already me being intimidated. I'm like, okay. Everything they said did not make sense, bro. While I was in the room on a Friday, everything they were talking about, property, rent to rent, all these things, just like, HMO, all my head was spinning. I was like, I was like,
what's going on?
What's going on? And before that, I was only stuck within the African community as well. All my friends were either you're from a Edo State or you're Igbo or Yoruba. Those are the kind of people I have around me as friends. Those was the only, and we knew each other, to be honest, over the years. And that was it. So yeah, got there. Everything they said made sense. I took a leap of faith to go to their next event and their next event and their next event, and eventually decided to, start finding more about the stuff. So this began in 2016 into 2017. In 2017, I plugged into mentorship and coaching, and eventually, gradually doing deal selling. Sell one deal here, make about £1,500. One deal there, 800. And cut long story short, November the 3rd, I got my business registered.
Wow,
that's my story there. Like I said, my story will be here all day.
That's such an important point that you just made there. And by the way, this isn't something that I would recommend if you're getting into property. But you went focused. I always, when we're doing our mentorship, I always tell people, like, don't focus on the low-hanging fruit. You spoke about sourcing one deal here, making 1,500, another one, then making 2,000, and then eventually I registered my company. Like I said, once again, I wouldn't recommend that, but it was about just taking action, getting the results. I'm not worried about, I need a logo, I need to get a website, I need to, like, all this low-hanging fruit that isn't actually moving you forward. It's like, what am I going to do to start seeing results in my actual business? What are they? I call them income generating activities that are actually going to bring, the money in. Right?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, saying what you just said now, remember, I've always been someone who does anything, sold anything. So my mindset was a bit different. I've been through challenge, I've just been through a hole. So some people sometimes, like what you said, a lot of people focus on the detail, because detail don't give you money. You don't make money on detail. You make money on process, action, doing. That's what gives you money. So for me, I just got started and I started to take action. I didn't focus on all the details. Wow. So as I went through the details, I started fixing all the, started connecting the dots. Yeah. But that was me. All right. Obviously, I don't advise anyone to do it, but it all depends on what is your state of your mind.
Just take action.
You have two types of people: those who are very quick and those who are slow paced. So for me, I was fast paced because I didn't like where I am as an Uber driver. I was just doing it for a livelihood because of what I've been through.
And how did you feel kind of going into this new venture? Because you'd had all this disappointment with entrepreneurship. You had this dream, you went to this training, and now we're going down this route again. It
was the most difficult part was my wife, because my wife was the most person that was really broken with all of this. I could take all the hit. I'm fenced now. I'm built that way where I can take any type of pain. But she wasn't. But the good thing now is she's now built that way too, because she's seen me go through all these things. Sometimes I'm going through some pain. She's like, you're Daniel Moses. You're built that way. That's how you're built. I think the part was my wife was like, are we back here again? Did you say you're not going to go through this entrepreneurship route again? You just barely survived 2 years ago, or less than 2 years. You barely survived. 2015, 2017, you barely survived. Why are we on this route again? Some even friends, people that knew what we've just been through. It's like, you're good the way you are, Daniel. Why do you keep chasing? I thought you said the Uber driving thing was okay. It was paying enough of the money and stuff like that. Why do you need to keep chasing? I doubted, but the thing is, once you are an entrepreneur, it's almost impossible to bury it.
But what was that? What was that? Because for those who are not an entrepreneur, who are not, maybe they're not on that entrepreneurial journey, because I believe it's something, yes, some just have it in them, but I also see so many successful people who they've learned, through mentorship, education, all that sort of stuff, right? But what was it within you? Because a lot of people go through this, right? I hear it a lot, which is, you got family around you. Why are you doing that for? You got friends. This doesn't make sense. Don't do that. Don't invest in this. Don't go and do this. Just stick to your job. You're getting paid well. Like, what was it? Because now you were in that boat. Even though you started off as a natural entrepreneur, you were now in that boat. What was it that made you say, no, I'm not going to listen to all of this. I'm going to go and make this happen?
During this journey, something happened. Again, I started developing myself, as I mentioned. I said, before this time, I didn't know about personal development. Right? Remember I said that?
Yes.
So as I started developing myself, I discovered something. When somebody tells you can't do it, they're not telling you can't do it because you can't. They're telling you can't do it because of them, because they can't do it. So they're trying to reflect themselves onto you. Right? So remember, you become, all right, the very first 5 people that you are what? Surrounded by. So if 5 people that you're surrounded by tell you, oh, you can't, then you can't. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. But like you said, it's not a reflection of you. It's a reflection of what they believe they can't
Absolutely. Achieve. So this was what started to happen, because they telling me I can't because they can't. They haven't been through the stress I've been through. They haven't been through anxieties. They haven't been through where they struggle not to sleep. Somebody who used to sleep properly now having insomnia. They've never been through that. So for me, I was like, okay. But again, through personal development, there's something that I learned. You don't go to the wrong person for the right advice. So, my mother wasn't an entrepreneur. I can go to her and share my advice and share what I'm going through, but I'm not going to take her advice when it comes to entrepreneurship. I love my mom to bits. She loves me so much. But if my mom tells me, oh, why do you want to make 1 million? I really want to make £1 million. She's never made £1 million. Why would I go out and meet my mom to tell me how to make £1 million? So the thing is, on this journey, a lot of people go to the wrong person for the right advice.
Wow.
And that was what changed for me. So I stopped talking to the people who told me I can't. And I started listening to people who told me I can.
Wow.
Because I know I can, because he that is in me is greater than he that dwells in the world. Because the Bible tells me that.
Wow.
So I started finding people who would tell me, Daniel, yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. And I started focusing on the word, you can. And I just started rising through the hurdles. And then I'll go through pain and they'll tell me, yes, it's normal. Oh, Dan, I'm like, I'm broke at the moment, I'm trying to do this day. Oh, yeah, it's normal. So I started seeing all those things as normal. I haven't slept for 3 days because I'm worried about this business. Oh, yeah, last night I haven't slept myself. I have a tea I can give you.
Yeah.
I have something I can give you.
They're not feeling silly. They're not say, oh, yeah, no, it's fine. You're working too hard and all this kind of stuff. It's just like, yeah, this is part of the journey.
I started looking for people who wasn't going to sympathize, but to push me even further. And that's what you see when people who are successful, if you study people who are successful in a circle, you see that they push one another. The likes of Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, you can see the competition between both of them. 100%. It's not a competition, to be honest, but the fact that one wants to go to moon and one created the biggest, what's it called now? The biggest retail organization in the whole world, Amazon.
Yes.
You can see they're pushing each other.
100%. I mean, I would say there is a competition. Definitely.
So that's exactly how I made those transitions. So I started finding people who can help me become, not people who couldn't make me.
Honestly, that is so incredible. And, you just drop so many gems in just that little moment there. It's about, personal development. It's about the people that you surround yourself with. And if these people are not in front of you, or they're not even next to you, if they're potentially behind you, then like, why are you listening, to these people? And it's not even a case of someone is behind you. They might just not have the same visions, the same goals, the same ambitions that you have, and they don't know what they don't know. So if you're trying to get to a different level, you can't get advice from someone who doesn't know how to get to that level. But when you're surrounded by the people who are already there, then they can just say, this is how I did it. Just follow me. This is the path.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And it just makes that journey a whole lot easier. But it puts you in the right mind frame, so you don't start feeling sorry for yourself and say, yeah, this is part of it.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, I feel tired. Oh, yeah, of course you're going to feel tired
Absolutely.
because you did that and you did that.
Absolutely.
That's cool.
Absolutely.
And then you're like, okay, cool. Well, this is just the journey, right?
Yeah.
I've got my vision, so he's telling me that's what I've got to do. She's telling me that's what I've got to do. Then that's just how it is.
Yes,
right? And
absolutely.
it just gives you, the confidence that you're on the right path.
True.
Absolutely
100%,
incredible.
100%.
And look, you've gone on to achieve, incredible things. You've got a multi-million-pound property portfolio. You're now mentoring and coaching people. Do you want to give us a little snippet of that?
Yeah, absolutely.
And
So
why you decided to do that as well?
Absolutely. So for me, as I said, as I went through this journey and I started to see, at first, the way it started was, I can remember a very good friend of mine, a lady called Tony, reached out to me. She said, I love what you're doing, because I documented what I was doing in front of social media. She said, I love what you're doing. You're so like just going through your social media just gives me a lot of this good energy, this good vibe. Daniel, come and speak in my event. I went to speak in that event, give back completely for free. There was nothing attached to it. And the vibe in the room was so great. For the fact that it was a room of over 100 people, and people said to me, oh, the way you spoke, nobody is, the way they resonated with me. This was in 2019. And, your story is amazing, and so on and so forth. And I just felt, okay. So I gave so much value, gave so much, information. And what I took from there immediately was, I am going to set up a networking event, but I don't know when. Because it was challenging, it was hard. I'm trying to get out of, I just stopped being an Uber driver in 2018, September to October-ish. I just quit my job as an Uber driver. I'm talking about January 2019 here. And I'm like, okay, I want to do something like this. But she was doing hers in, central London. I was like, I'm going to do mine locally to where I live so I can impact local people. And from that event, a lot of people started reaching out to me. What's good? Can you help me? So I'll have one-to-one session with people for an hour. I'll give them what they need to know. They'll go. Then I remember one of my very first close mentee friend became mentee, Tammy. And Tammy was like, yeah, I've got so much from this one-to-one. If you don't mind, I've just paid £20,000 to Wealth Dragon. And, I've not really gotten any sort of success because they don't relate to me and all of this and stuff, support me. I was like, okay, I'm happy to give you money. I was like, oh, okay. Hello. And I said, okay, that's fine. How much are you going to give me? He's like, I'll give you this. It was not bad money just to help someone because it's like, no, I pay for your time. As an entrepreneur that I am, I was like, okay, so I can help someone and I can get paid at the same time teaching someone what I know. Okay. And I'm sure a lot of coaches out there would not agree to this concept, but it's the reason why a lot of people do it. Let's be honest about it. I pay you for my time. I give you something that you don't have. It made sense, absolute sense.
100%.
So he sold me idea. I was like, okay, no problem. And I remembered launching my networking event September, October. I was still helping a lot of people, but I did not know how to make that transition. I didn't know how to run events. It was a chaos. So I'm like, okay, this guy's told me this, but okay, I'm going to find a way to do it. Then through all this happening, I started researching and I met a coach called Adam Stott when this journey started. So I'm like, okay, And it's like, I'm helping people to become a coach. I'm helping people to become this. So whoever you have, I can teach you how to monetize it. Bam, I'm sold. I went to his free event in central London, and then I said, this is what I want to do. Can you help me go from here to there? And he looked at my social media. It's like, okay, I can show you how to do all of this. And I went through that journey, and I invested lots of money into that. And I went through that journey with this particular individual, Adam Stott.
We actually had Adam on
The podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, great! Yeah, he was a great. It was a really great mentor. So he showed me how to transition, from that place where I was already doing so well in my property business. At the time I met Adam, I was doing just about £200,000 a year in my property business, which was rent to rent, and obviously deal sourcing. I was in about £200,000 to £300,000 each a year. And then our coaching, I hadn't launched or coaching business or anything like that. So I went to his event, and then eventually started with him in January 2020. And cut long story short, by February 2020, we launched our coaching company, and we started giving a lot more people back, and impacted so many lives. Then lockdown happened. And to be honest, during lockdown was our biggest strength. We just went into impacted so many lives. In the last 24 months, I've gone to creating 2 property millionaires.
Wow.
And we took them from zero to making them millionaires. One of them is net worth currently about 2.5 million.
Wow.
Another one, he's net worth about £1 million, currently doing 2 deals that will revalue soon. So that'll give him £1 million. We've had thousands of people being through property wealth education. And so now we're obviously looking to not just be a property coach. So we are actually helping people make those little transitions, because the thing is, it's not how many times a man falls, it's how many times you're able to bounce back on your 2 feet. And that was one of the reasons I love this word quoted by one of my mentors as well, Les Brown. He says, when life knocks you down, try to land on your back. If you can look up, you can get up. So I am someone who has been knocked so many times to my back. I think I navigated the fact that I landed in my back because I was able to look up. So when I looked up, it gave birth to different parts of my businesses. So today, I not only do I have an investment arm as a business doing well, I have an education part, I have a management business. I'm impacting so many lives within my community. Not just only am I a role model now. Just about a couple of weeks ago, if I'm right, 2 months ago, myself and my wife won the African Connect Couple of the Year 2022. And this award was presented to me in front of over 300 people, within the Nigerian community, that they see what I've been through, keeping them married for 16 years. Not just that, the Edo community in the United Kingdom last year awarded me an award of excellence, again in front of over 2,000 people. As well as somebody that people are not looking up to. So for me, it's gone just beyond property coaching. It's gone into impacting people. It is actually, can we become, the greatest vision of whatever we did envisage that other people can model onto? In our community, we're religious, whether by Muslim or Christian, but are we building wealth? Are we creating wealth? People think often focus on the money, but are we thinking of how to create wealth and pass that on to generational, onto generation after, to come? Also, within the small community of us, right? Are we also understanding that council house is a good thing to have if you don't have money? Are we making that transition on how to get out of council houses and start to work to as leaders? I am a true first generation immigrant. All right, so second generation of immigrant come from me now because my kids were born here. They're British citizens. I wasn't born here. I wasn't raised here. It has been a struggle to lead me to where I am. So are we not able to inspire these people to be able to show that actually, yes, people can actually become millionaires. People can actually own millions in real estate, and you can actually get paid rental income month in, month out to build wealth. So for me, it's gone beyond something that is dimensional. One of the reasons why we're hosting an event, this month, September, the Global Wealth Festival, where we've brought so many wealthy Africans together to say, let's discuss the word wealth. So it's now all about not just mentorship or coaching. It is actually being a role model that other people can emulate and say, that guy, Ibrahim, can go from zero to where he is now and faced all this adversity, challenges, roller coaster, at the verge of even don't know whether you were going to die or whether you were going to leave, and you're still talking. No matter what I'm going through, I'm going to go and make it. Wow. So that's what I'm so passionate about now.
Wow, incredible. Like, we've got a final question, the tradition that we ask in the podcast, but just before that question, I just want to say congratulations on everything that you've achieved.
Thank you.
Personally, from one Edo man to the other, I'm super, super proud of what you've done, what you continue to do, and I have no doubt, all of these things you're talking about, being a role model, inspiring, many more people to go out there and achieve. I can see the passion coming out, and anything I can do to make that happen or to further that, 100% count me in. But yeah, absolutely love that. But final question, you've achieved so many things now, especially over the last few years, really, really great things. You're building your property portfolio, you've got this education, you're inspiring people. So today, what is your need to succeed?
What is my need to succeed? My need to succeed is to have a community of collaborators, a community where, if I need £1 million today, I only just say I need £1 million today, and the £1 million is in my bank account. Just because, you know why? I've built communities of millionaires, millionaires, millionaires and millionaires and billionaires, and we don't have to, the word money is not a problem. A community of where, we are saying, okay, maybe worst case, the worst financially person position in the circle is a net worth of is £1 million. All right. So a community of multi-millionaires in property as a vehicle, leaders, because it's one thing to have property portfolios in millions and rental income coming through, but if you're not a leader, then you might also struggle something else. So I'm building a community of leaders, not followers, not spectators, all right? People who would lead a new movement in England where we come out together and we look at people, other people want to say, you know what, I just want to be there. If these guys can go from nothing, I too want to be part of this. It's a journey. And in that community, we have a 5-year plan for each person's, that when you come into it, it's a 5-year plan. Because Rome was not built in a day. It wasn't built overnight. So the need for me now is that I'm doing whatever I take to make sure that community stands and become heard of and become known and become a movement. Wow. And I hope God give me all the strength to do it.
Wow. Dr. Danny Moses, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, my brother. Wow. It's been an absolute pleasure.
It's been absolutely amazing having you on here. Brilliant.